Aside from some pretty decent cameos in other games, we haven't had our hands on a real Star Fox title in nearly a full decade, and that was on a system only a few dozen people actually owned. There have been some enjoyable attempts to recreate that magic by developers outside of Nintendo though, and while Fox McCloud may not be the main protagonist, games like First Squadron Phoenix will give you a chance to fulfill your anthropomorphic animal space pilot rail shooter fantasies one more time. You may be familiar with First Squadron, this developer's previous game that also provided a similar Star Fox-like rail shooter experience, but while it was enjoyable in its own right, the rough wireframe environment didn't quite have the same impact of the franchise that inspired it. First Squadron Phoenix brings it to a whole new level with the incredible addition of textures, and while they're not the crispiest on the planet, it makes the weird hallways of bad guys much more appealing to shoot up. But there is more to this sequel that is actually a prequel than just filling in the space between wireframe lines and calling it a day. You'll start out on a mission as Robin, a Robin with 3 other Robin pilots attacking some kind of bandit base run by an evil bird and/or lizard man. Your allies are presumably killed and you're left badly damaged drifting in space. However, you're rescued by First Squadron and immediately join their ranks. But not before you take on several simulator missions that, despite being called training, will still kick your ass. These will send you down that familiar corridor with enemies sliding in from the side, swooping down from the back, crawling up from the ground, and just randomly materializing in your face with the desire and capability to blast you to death with lasers and missiles. Luckily, you also have laser blasters, lock-on missiles, and a collection of other special weapons you accumulate to dispatch these waves of enemies as you perpetually cruise toward whatever objective you happen to run into on this focused journey. Each tunnel of tribulation culminates in a behemoth boss fight that will bring back the tradition of beating those red spots like you're trying to get them pregnant while ducking out of the dramatically broadcasted danger zones of their attacks until you can claim victory. Yet whether you win or lose this titanic tussle, you'll end up on a mission end screen that tabulates your total score and blasts you with a barrage of ability points. These points can be used to fill in a power-up tree that lets you do more damage, take more damage, and just generally be better at the game without actually having to be better at the game. And since the difficulty significantly ramps up across this limited 8-level run, you'll need every one of those points to ensure you can make it to the end without having your tiny bird body jettisoned into the vacuum of space. First Squadron Phoenix. It may not be Star Fox, but at least we finally have more furries in space. I'm not 100% sure that this departure from Star Fox's formula of path-based level progression is particularly great, but the roguelike design does give you a reason to replay some of the well-designed levels in order to level up your abilities, improve your relationships with the characters for their little bonuses, and unlock cosmetic ship skins. This is also a departure from the design of the previous game, though that still allowed you to replay any level and encouraged it with a kind of new game plus system of extra difficulty. However, one thing First Squadron Phoenix offers over its predecessors and even the classic Star Fox games are levels that feel extremely long, sometimes maybe a little too long. The second half of the 8-level selection stretches to a point where losing, especially in a boss fight, can feel like a real kick in the nuts. Even the short, unskippable intro sequences started to become an annoyance because I knew I had to fight back through all of the fodder to get to the tough parts. But that might be because of the uniquely horrible audio of the voiceover, which thankfully you can turn off, though all of it felt a bit extraneous and unnecessary with how strange the story and dialogue actually are. There isn't even that much of it, but somehow it still felt like they were trying to do too much with it. But the major redeeming factor here is the gameplay experience. The combat is exactly what you'd be looking for if you're a fan of Star Fox, with the familiar deflected laser shots, charged up lock-ons, screen-clearing bombs, and plenty of enemies to subject to that punishment, even if the special weapons feel a bit underutilized outside of a handful of boss fights. And while the levels are limited in number, they're all distinct and offer vibrant designs that make them memorable and fun. However, one thing is, the game description claims that every run reshuffles the levels, and I found that to simply not be true. There was a time that a seemingly random event happened, but that was exactly one occurrence in probably 20+ runs. Most of the time, like Star Fox before it, the levels were exactly the same from one run to the next. But even with that quirk or outright fabrication, I had fun playing the game, which is why it's getting the abbreviated score of good. But if you'd like to embrace the truth of hot takes, warm satire, and tepid commentary about other games, like this video, rescue wingman Adam Watke from a single trailing fighter, and check out more abbreviated reviews.